The first time I saw Jack Germond was on the McLaughlin Group, the original free-for-all political show that has been imitated over the last 30 years in many ways by many other political chat shows. Jack was the guy who looked like a political reporter straight out of Central Casting, meaning for people like me who didn't know any reporters, that's what we thought those guys looked like. Jack described himself as, quote, a fat, bald guy who looked unkempt even in a freshly pressed suit and a Brooks Brothers shirt. The McLaughlin Group was the only political show I watched in the 1980s because I didn't have any interest in politics and government. I watched the show for the same reason Saturday Night Live writers watch the show. It was really funny. And SNL didn't have to exaggerate much when they imitated the McLaughlin Group.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being pathetically inadequate and 10 being painfully inept, how would you rate the Buchanan campaign Jack Germond?
I'd say about a 5.
Wrong!
That, of course, was the great Chris Farley delivering a typically short Jack Germond answer. John Goodman also played Jack Germond on SNL and barely got a word in because that's the way Jack played it on the McLaughlin Group. Here's Jack's concise prediction in 1991 of the effect of the first Gulf War on the next presidential election.
Jack Germond. A year from now, about the time of the first caucuses and primaries, the Middle East and this war will be no more than 10th on the list of issues of concerns to Americans.
And, of course, Jack was right. President Bush came out of that first Gulf War with an 89% approval rating, but then went on to lose to Bill Clinton in the next presidential election. Jack never fought his way into the debate on the McLaughlin Group the way most of the other panelists did. He just sat there, knowing that he wasn't getting paid by the word, and every second he sat there silently while everyone else was arguing. All I cared about was, what does Jack think? It was as if Jack knew what the smartest actors know, the power of silence. The longer the silence, the more we wonder what you're thinking. Jack was actually my model when I eventually took a seat on the McLaughlin Group for a few years. I was always the last one to speak after John McLaughlin announced issue 1, and I almost always said less than anyone else on the show. John would always complain to me about that when I'd arrive to do the show. He would tell me that the word count of the transcript showed that I said less than anyone else last week, and the letters and the emails to the show kept saying, we want to hear more from O'Donnell. When I said to John, that's exactly what I want the audience to say, I don't think he quite got it. Jack Germond wasn't consciously following the show business rule of leave the audience wanting more, but that's what he did. He always left the audience wanting more, and Jack did that again yesterday. His wife Alice sent an email to friends with the subject line, Jack's gone. A little before 4 a.m., Jack passed away. He went peacefully and quickly after just completing this novel, a tale he had pondered while writing columns, campaign books, a memoir, and covering our politics and politicians. He lived a marvelous, full, and well-loved life. I think he was a great reporter. I know he was a hearty eater, and the good conversation as important as the food. And yes, he enjoyed extending an evening. He had a bold journalistic ethic, and that matters. He was fortunate to spend his life working at a job he would have done for free during some halcyon times in the newspaper business. Jack indeed played the horses, always studying the form and hoping for that elusive Triple Crown winner, but there was no such thing as a bad day at the track. To his many friends, he appreciated the great company, story, scoop, competition, and laughter. He fit his life and times so very well. I love him, and it's been great. In 2001, Jack told People magazine, quote, nowadays, reporters drink white wine and eat salads. They go to their rooms, transcribe their notes, and go to the gym. We never did that. Never went to the gym and lived a rich, full 85 years. And always left the audience wanting more.